Hello friends, Worm here, or at least that's what Worm would want you to think. And today we're going to be talking about reimagined content, or reprised, revamped. Essentially what it all is reissued content in Destiny 2. And I chose this topic today because while I was just meandering and meddling about my day, I started thinking about the content, the amount of actual new content that we have got in Destiny 2 over the past X amount of time. Now, obviously, with Lightfall's latest drop, we did get like Neo Muna. Obviously, there's that, and as well as some new stuff that came with it, new subclass stuff like that. But it seems like Bungie is more and more revamping old content and reselling it to us, and this is something that it bothers me on one hand, but it also doesn't bother me on the other, because I understand there's only so many ideas you can have for new content. There's only so many weapon, archetypes that you can have within a game. There's only so many, locations you can add into the game before you have to start taking others out, which is exactly what happened with, many of the old planets in the game, like Titan, for example. These were removed because the game got too big. So I understand that the game is not, it can't just be infinite, but at the same time, the amount of reissued content that we're getting is kind of disgusting. Remember, if you're a veteran player like myself and you've been playing since D1, when you buy a DLC, you spend your 70 or 100 or 130 or however much the like a special edition is. Anyways, when you spend that money, you are getting, new content, as Bungie puts it. Bungie is making it sound fresh, new, awesome, cool, blah blah blah, stuff like that. But in reality, when you get something like Lightfall, you get one new strike, a bunch of revamped strike. You get revamped weapons. Like that was one of the big things when Lightfall was first announced, and like the weapons and stuff were shown, was that the Neo Muna weapons are literally the same weapons as the Moon weapons, just kind of a different color scheme essentially. And if you look at them, it's actually wild because they are all the same models. Like Round Robin has the same model as what's it called? I can't remember the name of it, but it is Loud Lullaby. There you go. Loud Lullaby. What's another one? The Premonition has this, or I'm sorry, not Premonition. Phylotactic Spiral has the same, same look as, I can't remember my weapon names now. Premonition. There you go. That's what it is. And so a lot of players were revolted by that, myself included. Like, it's like, hold on before I give my opinion. I'm kind of on the in-between, but we'll talk about that in a second. But lots of players were revolted by the fact that Bungie has reissued content, that literally they couldn't even go out of their way to make new, weapon specific, planet specific weapons. Like think about what we got with Witch Queen. There is not another gun in the game that looks like, or not another set of weapons in the game that looks even remotely close to the Throne World weapons. Okay, they look absolutely fantastic, with all the elements and periodic table stuff going on, and stuff like that. At any rate, fast forward to Lightfall, and we get reskinned weapons. No secret here. We're not going to dwell on that for too long, but it's mind-boggling how players seem to just ignore this, and I know it's kind of talked about sometimes, but I don't see it a whole lot on the forums, on Reddit. I haven't seen a whole lot of YouTube videos about it, and it's kind of disgusting. We're getting locations that we are essentially paying for, not location, but we're getting content that we have paid for in the past, has been taken away, and it's being almost like resold back to us, and yes, they do, revamp it and reprise it, and they polish it, make it look good and stuff like that. But like, Destiny players want new stuff. I remember way back in the day of Destiny 1, when there was the thought of reprise, revamp content was not even in our dictionary. Like, we didn't know about it. Like, Destiny for 3 years didn't do any reissuing of any sort of content or anything like that. I think the close thing you might say to reissuing is they brought back in the final year of Destiny 2, they brought all the raids up to power level, because doing Volta Glass back in the day, in 2016 wouldn't net you any, rewards beyond, the lower level stuff that you really didn't need anymore at that point. But outside of that, like, I can't think of any other reissued content. But then we move into Destiny 2 and we have, it seems like we just get reissue after reissue, reissued weapons. They're bringing, oh, well, we've added new weapons to the loot pool. No, they didn't add new weapons. They have taken old weapons in the game, literally the same name and everything. Because here's the thing, I understand weapon models, like, for example, the Suro's pulse rifles, they all have that same look and feel to it. I get that because it makes sense. Like, it's made by a manufacturer. It makes sense they look the same. But they're taking weapons that we had way back in the day and just giving them random rolls and saying, here's your new stuff. And it's kind of gross. It's like, wow, like, what is Bungie doing? Why are we getting just new content, revamped content, reissued, reprised, whatever content over and over and over again? And we've talked about it before, but I think that there's Bungie is trying to let Destiny slowly die. Okay, and that's the reality of it. I still, my mind is still pretty set on that. And I know that, they've talked about, oh, well, this is the end of the Light and Darkness saga. We have some plans for what's up and coming next. We talked about this a few days ago. Bungie will talk a big talk about, changes and adding content, stuff like that. But until we actually see it, we cannot believe it. Okay, because Bungie 2 years ago talked about how Gambit's going to get this, this rework, or I'm sorry, Joe Blackburn. I shouldn't say Bungie, but Joe Blackburn, who's lead game design, who's pretty big deal. He's not just some casual developer that, messes around with the Dregs health bar or something like that. Like, he's a big deal. He talked about major Gambit changes, that were coming in whatever season it was 2 years ago, stuff like that. And we still have yet to see anything new for Gambit. Gambit is literally left to die. We've made videos, I think 2 or 3 videos on Gambit and how it's just been left to die in the past, and now, like, or I'm sorry, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, Joe Blackburn, he said, oh, we're gonna fix Gambit, all this stuff. We haven't seen anything from there. Hell, this season we didn't even get a new Gambit weapon like we got last season. Yeah, last season's was new, the Albruna. I don't think the Albruna has ever been in Destiny. We got Trust, which was an old Gambit weapon that has been basically just turned into something new. And I wouldn't be surprised if next season it's the same thing. We get old Gambit weapons that are reprised, blah, 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 whatever. Now, I'm aware of the leaks and rumors that we are potentially going to see some Gambit changes next season. You can go check out Destiny 2 leaks on Twitter if you want to see that. We're not going to talk about it in too much detail here. But again, is it going to be a Gambit overhaul, a Gambit fix? I don't know, or is it going to be, just the drifters being part of the storyline? I don't know. Okay, but still, 2 years. It took Bungie 2 years to fix Gambit. Okay, so when Bungie says, oh, we're going to do this, that, and the other, I don't believe them until I see it. And I know, like, that's a harsh thing to say, especially when you love a game as much as we all love Destiny 2. Like, we care about Destiny 2. We like Bungie. We like that Bungie, has made this game. But at the same time, they've slowly lost the trust of the community. As I go through the forums, let me pull up the forums here real quick. As I go through the forums here, like, I see post after post, talking about issues with Bungie's decision making, I should say, in regards to all kinds of things, all kinds of different stuff. But it all comes back around to Bungie does this. It's not like, oh, the game's too hard. No, it's, Bungie has made the game too hard. It's Bungie's too focused on this to actually, care about Destiny or something like that. Goodness, it's just post after post, it seems like, of people asking Bungie to please, like give us new stuff, stop reskinning. You know, they want Bungie to do certain things, and Bungie just, they don't pay attention. They don't pay attention, or they just ignore it and don't care, you know. And it's because they got a new game that they're already in the process of making. And I know in the previous videos we've talked about it, and you know, people have said, oh well, you know, just because they're making a new game doesn't mean blah blah blah. Unfortunately, based on what I've seen, it does. You know, based on what we have seen in terms of, you know, the new content, the reprised content, the lack of, I don't want to say the lack of fun, but the lack of meaningful entertainment in Destiny. I mean, I don't know about y'all, okay? Obviously, I make Destiny content, but used to, I would play Destiny for hours and hours and hours a day, okay? Back in like high school, like you know, in high school, I got out of school at like 1 o'clock. I'd come home and I'd play Destiny till bedtime, till 9, 10 o'clock at night, you know? As a, you know, I'm out of high school as an adult. I play Destiny every single, you know, I played Destiny every single day. I make content about Destiny. Destiny has the most hours of any game that I have. But lately, and by lately, I mean since the launch of Lightfall, I have found myself playing other games and putting less time and dedication into Destiny. You know, and the reason why I feel like is because the fun is dropping off. You know, it's obviously the changes to difficulty. That was an interesting change. You know, they made it harder, stuff like that. I kind of laid off playing because I was like, yeah, it's harder. Like I have to put more effort in, blah 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 blah. But really, it was fun. It was a nice change, and they've reverted some of those changes. So I'm okay. You know, or I say I'm okay. I've always been okay, but you know, it's feels better. Definitely does feel better. But the overall like play through the game, it doesn't feel as good as it used to. And here's the thing: I know, I'm well aware that it's a video game. You can only have so much content in a video game. You can only have so much stuff in a video game before it becomes repetitive. You know, Call of Duty can be repetitive. Fallout can be repetitive. Minecraft can be repetitive. What's another game? Grand Theft Auto can be repetitive because it's like, oh, it's the same thing over and over. So I'm not saying that like, oh, you know, it's the same thing over and over and that's why I hate it, because obviously every video game falls into that criteria of you know, it's the same thing over and over if you play it enough. The thing is though, back in the day, I could play Destiny for hours and hours and hours on end and still enjoy it. Now it doesn't feel quite to that same level. I still play a lot of Destiny. I'm not going to sit here and you know, pretend that, oh, I play Destiny like an hour or two a day. Like I still play Destiny a lot, but I find myself playing other games more frequently because the fun factor of Destiny is just, it's kind of gone, you know? And I think that it definitely has something to do with the fact that so much content is being reissued and revamped and all those other words that, you know, all those other words that we were talking about. That's coming from a hardcore player, somebody with like literally thousands of hours in the game, is saying a lot. Okay. And I know I'm not the only one. Like I've made posts on Reddit and stuff talking about or asking people, you know, what their thoughts are on Destiny and it's the level of fun it is. It's overwhelmingly seems to be the same. Like most people are saying, yeah, Destiny's not as fun as it used to be. And again, this is not saying like, oh, like, you know, this is not, oh, over the years, it's just kind of gotten boring to play the same game. No, these are people that like up until, you know, Shadowkeep, up until Beyond Light, up until, you know, the Witch Queen were playing Destiny regularly. And for whatever reason or another, they've dropped off. Okay. And I know that the Lightfall numbers say that Destiny is at its highest, one of its highest player counts since whenever. And I'm not saying Destiny's a dead or dying game, because I know somebody's going to interpret it or translate it to that, because Destiny is obviously not dead. It's not dying. It still has thousands of players playing every single day, tens of thousands of players playing every single day, you know. But I think that the choices that Bungie is making are not looking good for the future, you know, and the amount of revamped and reissued content that we're getting tells me that Bungie is reallocating resources probably towards their new game, whatever it's called. I think they released or they trademarked a title not too long ago or something like that. Whatever it is, it's they're shifting more and more of their focus to that, you know. Also, I don't know if Lucas Smith is still on the team, but I feel like something happened to him. I don't really know. I guess we could Google it. Well, we'll Google it later, but yeah, ever since I've stopped hearing from Luke Smith, Destiny has gone downhill. I don't know, maybe coincidence, maybe not, whatever. But yeah, this is kind of just a rant video. You know, reissued content is okay to a degree, and I want to make sure to, you know, point that out to everybody. I'm not saying that, oh, like all reissued content is bad content. Like, no, nothing of that nature. But the amount of new content to reissued content, there needs to be a balance. I think that on average, we should see about 60-40, 60% new content every season, and then 40% revamped, reissued, whatever you want to call it, content. And not all items in the game have certain weight. You know, like a weapon might hold 0.2%. Well, a raid, for example, is probably going to hold, you know, like 10% of that weight. You know, if next season, if they said, hey, you know what, we are going to, you know, add a bunch of just revamped content in, but they bring us a new raid, just for example, I know they're not, but just for example, that would offset the balance, you know. But whenever they're bringing a lot of old content in, and also unfun content, which, you know, we could talk for hours and hours about unfun content. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I need to stop rambling. I do this a lot, but this is my thoughts, and I really want to get it out there because I really care about the game. I want to see less and less reissued content, or no, not less reissued content, but more new content as opposed to reissued content, you know. And it just seems like over the past few years we've just been getting too much reissued content for comfort. But yeah, thank you for coming to my TED Talk, ladies and gentlemen. That's it for me today. Of course, as usual, if you liked the video, please like if you liked the video, please like it. Helps out a lot. And subscribe, because we rant and rage and love Destiny every single day, and we make content on it every single day. But yeah, that's it for me, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.